I was in debt, $45,000 from student loans, and a job that was paying me the average income for a family of 4 in America. I had negative net worth. It would be dumb, foolish for me to have taken all my money and put it down on one prototype. So with that, the dream kind of died. All right, guys, if you did not watch the video from last week about how I went from zero to $1 million business in 2 years, you can actually watch this one first and then go back and watch that. I was actually gonna do a video about what happened after that, but I'm actually gonna tell you about all the failed businesses I tried before I got to SRK Cycles. So first, let's talk about the money and where it came from. Now, it seems like we're in this current culture that if you heard that someone was given $1 million, but now they're a billionaire, we would all be like, oh, of course, well, they were given $1 million. Of course they're a billionaire. They were given $1 million. But if we look at everyone else that gets $1 million or wins the lottery, what happens to them? Within 2 years, they are bankrupt and they're in a worse situation than when, okay. So obviously the money was not really the equation. If you could take $5 and multiply it, then you could probably take a lot more and multiply it. So I was about 20 years old. The year is in 2007. And Shia LaBeouf had just started to destroy the Transformers franchise by being a part of it. So I was working at a pizza shop at the time, and I was a delivery driver for the pizza shop. I had saved up $10,000 and with the purpose of buying a rental property, because I was under the impression that buying rental properties was how you become wealthy. And it was pretty easy for me to save up $10,000 because I lived with my parents and I didn't spend any money, and I drove a $300 car. And while all of my friends were all buying the coolest cars they could possibly, and they were really cool stuff, awesome Mustang GTs and all these cool, Audi S4s. And while they were all doing that, I was focused on this because, I'll buy cool cars later. And I bought this rental property for $92,000, and it was a no-doc loan. A lot of shady stuff going on back then, and it was a no-doc, variable rate interest loan. I think they got me in at a rate of 11%. After 2 months of us closing on this house, the housing economy just crashed. No one's ever gonna get loans like that again, hopefully. But I got into a house with a variable rate. For those who don't know, a variable rate loan, which didn't really do them anymore, I don't think, is they start you at 1% and it can actually go up or go down. What they tell you is like, hey, this could go down. You get into 11% and it could go down. All it's ever going to do is go up. Now, pretty much all loans are all fixed rate loans. So I spent all the money I possibly could scrounge up, and I fixed this house, and it was everything was tight month to month, with the goal of getting a renter in there. When the renter was in there, I used the renter's money to cover the mortgage, and if there was a little bit extra, I put that in the house, and this is kind of how it went on for a couple of years. The same month I closed on the house, I also started attending community college. So I was working on my rental property. I was a full-time student, 12 credit hours at community college, and I was also working full-time, jumping from job to job to job. When I graduated high school, I had a 1.3 GPA, which I'm not even sure if that's actually considered graduating. That's more just like, get the heck out of here, we don't want you here anymore. And then my first year of at community college, I was able to maintain a 4.0 GPA, just because I wasn't partying. My goal was school. Something changed in my life, and I couldn't care less about high school. I got to remake myself when I went to college, and I actually really enjoyed it. A year and a half later, I transferred to a small Bible college in the foothills of North Georgia, where I ended up meeting my future ex-wife. No, she's my current wife and will always be my wife. Should I take that out? Where I ended up meeting my first wife, Rachel. That's not any better, is it? Current wife, best wife, most loved wife.
You'd be so mad.
So before I graduated college, I was asked by some guys at my church who were starting a motorcycle parts company. And what they were doing was they were the plan was they were going to buy motorcycles, and sometimes they would buy brand new, but they were going to buy auction motorcycles, and then they were going to pay me to tear the bike down. So we had a couple lifts, we were going to tear it down. These were all sport bikes, really cool stuff. I got an opportunity to ride some really awesome bikes, and I decided to do it. But they were buying the bikes at an auction, Atlanta National Power Sports Auction. And that auction only comes once a month, so if they had the money, they would buy like 3 bikes, they would part them out. I saw an opportunity there, and I was like, well, if I can buy you bikes, if I can go buy bikes privately for cheaper or the same price you can get them at auction, would you guys buy them from me? And they were kind of reluctant to say yes, but they ended up saying yes. And the only way this would have worked out was because the title leniency of a state like Georgia. And the way it was back then, this is around 2010, was any private sale used vehicle, you don't pay any sales tax on. You'd have to notarize the titles, and they were really, really, really lax about open title laws. So lax that I bought bikes from numerous police officers that have had the bike for about six to 10 months, maybe a year, and they never put the title in their name. They had a bill of sale from how they bought it. They wrote a bill of sale on a napkin from how I bought it, and we were riding bikes without tags on it. So, like most of my life, I feel like I've got a killer opportunity to make some money and buy bikes, but I don't have any cash to do it. So I called my dad, and I convinced him to lend me, I think, $3,600 for 24 hours. Now, I'm living in Georgia, he's living in Pennsylvania. He wired me, and this is, I'm sure it was a hassle for him. He goes to the bank, he wires me the money, I get in my account. I had 24 hours to find, flip a bike, and send the money back to him. So I did. I found a 2007 GSXR, bought it for, I think, $3,600, and then sold it to my guys for, maybe $4,800. So I made a quick $1,200. I wired my dad the money back, and then the next time I saw a good deal, I did the exact same thing, borrowed a couple bucks from him, a little bit less every time, and up until about like five or six flips on my own, then I had all the money, I could do it myself, I didn't have to borrow any money. When you look at money as being something that you need to create opportunities and to make a living, changes the way you think about it, and you don't feel pressured to spend it on stupid stuff. So at this point in my life, I probably had more money than I've ever had in my life, but I wasn't, trying to buy cool cars with it. I was trying to buy things that were assets, so I bought a, F-250 7.3 Power Stroke truck, manual transmission, 2-wheel drive, really decent truck for $2,500 because I can move bikes with it. I bought a trailer, used landscaping trailer, so I can tow my truck to move more bikes to make more money. Now, before I bought that truck, I was just driving cheap vans. I'd buy these cheap conversion vans for, a couple $100, and then I'd run them for a couple months. The engine or transmission would seize up, and then I would just scrap it. I would make money. I would buy these things, run them, make money with them, and then when they go bad, I wasn't going to fix them. I would take them to the salvage yard and scrap them, and I would be making a couple $100 every time I scrapped it. It was great. It was killer. So I did this for about a year and a half. It was fun. It was exciting, and I remember trips where I was going to go buy 5 or 6 bikes, and all from different individuals, and I got $40,000 cash in my hand or stashed away in my truck at different areas to go accomplish this. It was a lot of fun, but I was getting burned out. I was doing a lot of driving, and it was always there was that grind, and you're always as good as your last bike. You got to find the next one. I was constantly on my phone looking for the next deal, and I wanted something different. So when I walked away from that, I had about $30,000, and I did what any rational, sane person would do. I started a trucking company. Now, I did not have a CDL at that point, and I bought a 2005 Freightliner FLD 120. I never drove it commercially. I did sometimes drive it around my neighborhood, and one time I got it stuck in my neighbor's front yard. That sucked. I got a couple interesting stories about that whole trying to start a trucking company, but we'll talk about them later. I ended up not doing that, selling the truck. That was one of 2 vehicles in my lifetime that I had lost money on. I lost maybe a couple $100 on that truck when all said and done. The other vehicle was a 1992 Cutlass Sierra that someone gave to me for $100, and then I blew the motor up. So then I had this awesome, huge, epic idea. And this is around the same time where Redboxes were getting pretty popular. And people were telling you about Redbox like it was Jesus. You know what I mean? Yo, have you heard of Redbox? You know, well, yo, what's Redbox? Oh, you know, movies are $1. You know what I mean? Like, yo, have you heard of Redbox? It was crazy. And it was awesome too, you know? So stores like Walgreens and mini marts and stuff like that would put these red boxes so you can rent a video, you know, a current movie for $1. They put them right outside their stores for two reasons. One, they had a contract and they would make their company would pay a little bit to put them outside the stores, but also because they thought it was it made it kind of a destination location. You had tons of people going here renting movies. Maybe they'll come in and grab a drink. Maybe they'll come in and grab, you know, whatever they need. I don't think that really worked out very well because me and all my friends would all go to Red Boxes and, you know, we had $1. We got to have a movie and have fun. So we never went into the actual store. The little secret about movie theaters is that they make most of their money not on the ticket sales, but they make most of their money on the concessions. So you go there and you buy a ticket, most of that money goes to the studio, and the rest of the money that they make is all from the popcorn, the markup on the popcorn and the soda that's this big, but costs them 20 cents, but costs you $50. So this is kind of along the same idea. I was gonna build a kiosk that would go next to Redbox that you could get popcorn from, and then other cool movie theater concessions. The way it work is, all right, I got $1, I want to go get a movie, movies and popcorn, that goes together. So then you would go and you would just go, you know, you just swipe your card and you'd pay like $1 and you'd get a little microwave thing of popcorn. So when you go home, you put your DVD in your DVD player, and then you put your bag of popcorn inside your microwave, and you got popcorn and a movie all in one spot right there, super convenient. And I decided to call this Popcorn Bucket, and it was going to be yellow. The box was going to be yellow, and I had the logo made. I had the company from Canada that actually designed and manufactured the red boxes. I had them design and manufacture me the unit, and we had the price. We actually had it's going to be a big monitor on the top of the unit that we could rent that out for advertisements for local companies. So if you had a pizza shop down the road, you know, you could say, hey, before you watch your movie, come grab a pizza. You know what I mean? I thought it was a pretty great idea. I thought it was a really good idea. I'd also spoken with people from Redbox to make sure that their contract was okay with me putting a box next to it. They said it was okay because it was not a competing kiosk, it was more of a complementing kiosk. So during this time, I had moved back. I had gotten my wife pregnant, and I had moved back from Georgia. I moved back to Lancaster, where I'm from, which opened up more opportunities because I had some connections with people who knew people at Turkey Hill, and I contacted them, and they were happy to meet with me about this idea as long as I had a working prototype. Now during this time, streaming has just gotten huge. I mean, like, you know, even throughout college, we were all watching Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that. So I knew that there was a time limit on this idea. I knew that there was a time limit on Redbox because DVDs were going to fade away. So I was kind of getting a little bit of doubt about the idea until I saw a newspaper article. Not a newspaper article. Who reads the newspapers? Until I saw an article on the internet that said that Redbox bought Blockbuster Express, which if you remember, you had red boxes, they were red. You had the blue ones, it was Blockbuster Express. It was actually a company that was licensing the Blockbuster name because Blockbuster had failed years before because they sucked, because you were renting a movie for $12 and then if you were 2 days later it was $50. Redbox had bought Blockbuster Express for $100 million. This pumped me up, this gave me hope. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, hey, Redbox still thinks that they've got plenty of time to keep on doing this. But the problem was I needed $12,000 to come up with to get the first prototype made. Now, once the first one was made, it'd be cheaper to get the next couple. But if I was ordering these in 20 or 30 or 40, they could actually knock the cost down to around like $3,200 per unit. I never had the extra $12,000 to spend on this. Well, let me put it a different way. I was in debt, $45,000 from student loans. And I may have had $12,000 in the bank, but I had a brand new family that I was starting out on, and a job that was paying me the average income for a family of 4 in America. I had negative net worth. It would be dumb, foolish for me to have taken all my money and put it down on one prototype. So with that, the dream kind of died. The dream died. There was one Christmas, maybe a couple years ago, I asked my wife, I said, can you print and frame the logo for Popcorn Bucket? Someday I'm gonna hang that in my office and I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna see that was one of the first projects I really spent a lot of time and energy in. Even though it failed, even though I never actually went with it. I still thought it was a good idea, but I actually tried, and it came to a point where I just couldn't go any farther. And that means a lot to me. A lot of people think that, and I'm by no means am I saying that I'm successful, but a lot of people think that successful people are sitting on top of a mountain of success. Just success, win after win after win after win. But in reality, successful people are sitting on top of a mountain of failure. And people who are unsuccessful are sitting on top of a mountain of never trying. Thanks for watching, and next time we're going to talk about what we've been doing lately. Subscribe.